Last call Saturday, everybody. It's the prep queen, Ariel Epstein, filling in for Kelly in Vegas this summer. I think this is my last call on a Saturday. Week 0 starts basically by the time I get back from Boston next week. So that's when we get the takeover again. But I'll let you know. We are live on your various social channels, Kick, Rumble, and WagerTalk YouTube channels. So if you are new here, hit the subscribe button so you never miss another show. On today's show, we've got Gianni the Greek, as we always do on Saturdays. He's going to give us a look behind some of the back ends of the sharpest and squarest accounts out there in all of sports. Ralph Michaels for NFL preseason games, and we've got Ronald Cabang joining us for some great WNBA insights. So if you have any questions for our WagerTalk handicappers, drop it in the comment section on your platform, and we will make sure to get all your questions answered. We've got Dan in the back, and he's going to make sure that we pop those questions up from the chat. Odds Logic, if you want to know how all the lines move across all the different platforms, all the different sports books, make sure to go to oddslogic.com/propqueen and have your Odds Logic screen open while we're doing all this so you can follow along, because I know Gianni is going to tell us a lot about where these sharp groups have been betting. And I've got some sides in Major League Baseball that are a little fishy. For example, there's one team you probably don't, actually maybe even two teams you really don't want to bet on because they stink. But we might have to do it today. Odds Logic, created by Don Best and Sports Option Guys. It is the ultimate real-time odds screen. It offers comprehensive sports betting data from sportsbooks worldwide. It's got cutting-edge technology and delivers unparalleled customization, lightning-fast updates, and gives you the winning edge. So send game rotation numbers along with your questions, and we will get them answered. oddslogic.com/propqueen. Coming up, let's bring him on. He is known as the Vegas runner, Gianni the Greek, live from Las Vegas, wearing a Phillies hat yet again. What's up, Gianni? Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday. Great Saturday. Busy, busy, busy. I've been up since 5 a.m. firing away. There's just so much.
I'm glad that you were working like this
because
5.
There's just so many markets. And I'm not
dog
afraid to fire volume. I enjoy it.
Put you up.
So this is great for me.
We've got preseason NFL, Major League Baseball, WNBA, UFC this weekend?
Yep, tonight, 319 in Chicago. Huge card. Really, really, really good card. Very bettable card as well. So,
okay. So I know that when everyone sees Gianni the Greek, they say we need to get in on some UFC action. So let's start there with UFC. What do you want to give us today?
All right, let me give you a total that I just actually released to my subscribers. Actually a 4% play. So I'm going to give that to you guys for free right here. We're going to go to Chase Hooper and Alex Hernandez. Chase Hooper, Alex Hernandez. And we're going to go over 2.5 at even money. Good to -110, -115. Surprised it's not a -150 line. I mean, 6 out of 10 times this one does go over. But we have a little recency bias. Chase Hooper, 3 of his last 4 have finished inside the distance. He's the favorite in this fight, obviously a heavy favorite. But even if he gets the W here, it's just a tough out. Hernandez is tough as nails. He's got that wrestling background as well. So he should be able to avoid the submissions from Chase Hooper, which is the threat for the finish there. So I agreed with that over that came in like I always do. I already have my sides and totals circled, and if any of my originators come in on one of those sides, I'm going to fire. And they came in on that over. So I bet that as well. And as everybody knows, it's no secret. UFC on the line put out clips. The Gambler's Perspective put out clips. I'm on Chimaev in the main event. I know there's a lot of bettors opposite me that see the champ DDP as the value side. I completely disagree. I just think we have fights we could compare where both of these guys fought the same opponent. Regardless of the outcome, I'm more interested on how those lines opened, how they closed. Based on those alone, it looks like Chimaev's a discount. But just the way they match up, just too much to like on the Chimaev side. I think when we look back, we'll realize just how cheap this line actually was. I released it to subscribers at -200. Let me see where it is right now. It's up to -250, 255. So we got a great line on that fight. If you think it's a little bit too late since we got down at 200 and it's now 250, one of the props that I also sent to my subscribers, 1% play only, small little sprinkle, it's Chimaev in the first round at +310. It's available +300 in a lot of spots. Again, I think this one finishes inside the distance. It's favored to finish inside the distance. As every round passes, the probability of a finish gets cut in half. So usually finishes happen early. We know Chimaev comes all out in the first 5 minutes. I think it's going to be a tough 5 minutes for Duplessis. I think Chimaev's able to take him down, secure that rear naked choke, and get the W. Does he make it look that easy? I think at plus 300, I have to sprinkle a little something because, again, he's a finisher. He's a closer, and he closes usually early. And that plus 300, got to win that bet 1 out of 4 times to break even. At plus 310, even turn a profit 1 out of 4 times. I think that's very doable. Give me Chimaev in round 1.
Wow, look at that. Some free action from Gianni, who I know has some stuff up here on the WagerTalk platforms that you could definitely check out for some more action tonight. We've got NFL preseason as well. How have you been doing in NFL preseason? I know the overs last week were insane.
Yeah, and we actually lost. The betting syndicates lost in the first week of preseason, which is actually good for now in week 2. And what we saw was that outlier with the overs and the market, I think, overreacting to those. I want to stress real quickly that you have to get to this position to make money in preseason. You got to get to the point that when the line moves so significantly, you either have to conclude there's value on the opposite side of the move or let it go. And here's what I mean. Yesterday was a perfect example of that. Tennessee was a 5.5 point favorite. They got bet down to a 2.5 point favorite. If you're following lines and you're looking at the screen, you're thinking, wow, the dog's the side. The dog got steamed. The problem is a lot of bettors were betting that dog at plus 2.5. All the value's been extracted. We went opposite. We actually laid the 2.5 on Tennessee, even with all that steam opposite Tennessee, for one reason only, that the line has now moved so much that the value's on the other side. You can't be afraid to change your opinion when the line moves so significantly. Again, you're betting numbers, not teams. So Tennessee minus 5.5 and Tennessee minus 2.5 are completely different bets, just like taking the dog at plus 5.5 and 2.5 are completely different bets. So if you're messing with the preseason, you have to look at the opening line. You have to look at where it sits right now. And if it moves 3, 4, 5 points, you can no longer look at that side that's laying those points. Even if they win that game and cover, it just wasn't a good bet. And if you get in the habit of doing that, when the regular season comes around, you're going to get destroyed. You just can't chase steam that way. Again, there's a reason we stop betting sides. The goal, when they give me a play, my job is to get them down as much money as possible because they don't know how much money we're going to be able to get them down. So the only goal is get me as much as possible at that number, knowing that the market's going to move. So once we unload on that number, then they look and they say, okay, how much did we get down? Do we need to hedge a little, limit some of our risk? Or are we looking for even more, even now that it adjusted? But you have to remember, once a line moves that much, there's a reason they stop betting it, and that's because the value's been extracted. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're looking at the odds logic screen, or at minimum the WagerTalk free odds screen, and make sure you click and see where that line opened, where it originated at, and where it sits right now. And if you're late to the party, let it go. There'll be a better bet coming up right from behind.
We've got 11 preseason games in the NFL today, Yanni. What have your groups been getting some action down on?
All right, I'm going to read off everything that so far that's sharp, confirmed. Indianapolis over Green Bay. Indianapolis at minus 4.5 and minus 5. That's why you're looking at minus 6 right now. The only reason it's not 7 is because of the heavy public money on Green Bay. So you have one-sided Green Bay money from the public, and you have one-sided wise guy money on the Indianapolis side. So you have a difference of opinion there. And every single one of these totals from top to bottom have been bet over by the recreational bettors. I'm talking it's 90+% overs. It's not even close. The only game that I'm even seeing some under money, and it's still heavy towards the over, but at least there's some under money. It's Arizona, Denver. That one at least is getting some under bets from the recreational bettors, which is why it hasn't moved up. But be cautious. A lot of these totals have moved. Let's keep going. Move down to the New York Giants. New York Giants, they took them at +1.5, and they laid them all the way up to -1.5. Right now it's -3. Gone. 3.5. Gone. Value gone. Over got steamed as well from 37.5, 38.5, even 39. That's one of those that anything better than 40, they think the over is the right sign. Keep moving down. LA Chargers, obviously that game's gone. Perfect example. If you got Chargers -2.5 or 3, great bet. Maybe even 4, it's a decent bet. But right now it's 6.5 and 7. You can only look to the Rams or pass. That's it. So it makes your job as a handicapper easy, because you can't bet the Chargers right now. They went through that key number of 3, and they're about to go through that key number of 7. What else do I have for you? There was one more. Oh, was the total. Tampa, Pittsburgh over. That's public and sharp. Be careful of those. Some of these totals, the wise guys knew that the public was going to bet over, okay? So if you know they're going to go over and they're not going to do it till Saturday, you start betting over 6 days prior. You go over 36.5. By Saturday, it's 38.5, 39, and they're still betting it over. Now you have a situation where they're going to come in and bet some of these unders. So watch the odds screen line, or like I said, the minimum WagerTalk free odds, and pay attention to any resistance. These totals that moved up, if you start seeing them coming back the other way, the late money is always the sharpest money. Rest assured. Early money and late money is usually the sharpest. But with the late money, you could confirm because there's no time to manipulate. There's no time to maneuver. So if they're coming in 10 minutes, 15 minutes before a game and steaming it under after that line had gone over, rest assured, if it's not a middle opportunity, like they're not trying to middle, the under is the side. And the movement up was just dummying it early in the week. Because remember, for a couple nickel bets, you could dummy those lines so easily and get them moving in the right direction. So that's some of the NFL for today. And of course, there's some Major League Baseball that sharps have already gotten involved in.
That's obviously why I saved it for last, because it's the regular season games that we've got on the slate. We've got a big slate of Major League Baseball. Ralph Michaels is going to talk later on in the show here on Last Call about some more NFL preseason action, so we'll get that in. Michael Leone, yes, we did cover UFC already, but for Aya, Alessandro, MLB series bets, I know, Gianni, that your group's like that, so what do you see for those series bets?
Only one was bet before game 1 that I have access to, the groups that I work with. Again, I don't work with every originator out there, but that we got down with Cincinnati +130. Problem is Cincinnati's down 2 games against Milwaukee. So to push that bet, we now have to win Cincinnati today, and we now have to win with Cincinnati tomorrow. Fortunately, sharp money on Cincinnati today. Cincinnati +110. Opposite public. Heavy public Milwaukee money. No surprise. They're getting bet every night. But there is sharp money, 906 Cincinnati. 901 over Pittsburgh and the Cubs at 8.5. So the 9 is a key number. It got dummied down for very little money on the overnights. Got down to 8.5. At -105, I think that's when the heavy steam came in on the over 8.5, believe it or not, Pittsburgh, Chicago. So if you're looking on the screen, it looks like the under was the sharp play. Got to be careful. That just didn't happen there. Moved down to 904 Washington. Big dog, getting them against the Phillies. It's kind of like they do with Colorado. They bet Colorado because they figure with Colorado, if we win 1 out of the 3 games, we're going to break even or maybe turn a little profit. We win 2 out of the 3 games like Colorado did in their last series, we're going to make a score. So that's what they're kind of doing with some of these teams that you're afraid of late in the season. Washington's one of them. I'm seeing bets on 908 Colorado, as I touched on, Colorado +155 and under 12 up to -125. San Diego Dodgers under 8 up to -125. 912 Toronto -140. 9:13, White Sox plus 140, plus 135. Athletics minus 115, and the over 10, good to minus 125. Mets, again, 924, New York Mets. They came in with the Mets yesterday. They're coming right back with the Mets today, plus 110. And finally, Tampa Bay plus 110. So mostly dogs in Major League Baseball today, which is mostly what you see down the stretch at the end of the season. And you're going to see a lot of dog steam, especially in late August and early September, when the must-win situations come in, when those teams that are jockeying for position or to make the playoffs, make the wild card, they start becoming overvalued. And that's when you'll start seeing a lot of dogs getting steam. And those are going to be scary dogs. You know what I mean? Most recreational bettors don't want to bet these bad teams down the stretch, but rest assured, those bad teams will be undervalued, and it's going to be hard making money off the good teams when football gets here, because they're going to be parlaying a lot of the baseball earlier in the week, trying to build a little bankroll for Sunday NFL, Saturday college football. And they do that by parlaying those big money line favorites. Rest assured, they're going to be way overvalued over these next couple of weeks.
I was about to ask you about literally all of those games because I saw so much reverse line movement coming in on, I saw the Mets getting love, I saw the White Sox getting love, and I saw Colorado getting love. But Gianni, before I let you go, and I love that you mentioned all three of those teams, which we know likely all three probably aren't going to cash, but those are the ones that caught my eye for sure with 10-cent moves or more overnight. Public on the other side. I get worried that we get those buybacks because especially the later games, like we've got games coming up at 7, which is the White Sox and Royals, 8, which is Arizona, Colorado. You always see that these groups will buy in on one side early and then come back on the other side late. How do we avoid being on the wrong side?
Yeah, that's when your handicap has to come into play, and you have to trust your opinion a little bit. That's why I always tell my subscribers, I fire volume. Because I bet size correctly, and that's how I've done it for so long. But you don't have to do the same thing. You need to narrow down your positions that you feel strongest about. And then when you see the market agree with you, don't be afraid to fire. If later you see some resistance, that's okay if you have conviction. What you don't want to do in those cases is bet more. Okay. But when the opposite happens and you see confirmation, that's where it gives you an opportunity to bet more. See, you want to increase your bets when your edge increases. A lot of bettors do it the opposite way. They love a bet. They're like, this is a lock. So they just unload off the start. And along the day, or sometime even days, information changes. Things change. You want to give yourself a chance to maneuver. So that's why I always say you don't have to go all in on a trade. You don't have to. You could always level in. So let's say you're going to bet a 1 unit. That's what you're betting. You're betting 1 unit. If you're not 100% confident because you're betting it early, go a half unit. If you see the market agree with you and you feel a little more confident, boom, fire that other half a unit. You already got in good at a best price. So now it's like almost like dollar cost averaging. You might have got in at minus 120. Okay, now you got to lay minus 130 for your other half a unit, but your average bet size is still minus 125. So you're still getting some CLV. You're still beating the closing line overall, but you were able to wait for that later confirmation, which now you got CLV and you're not as worried. So you don't have to go. I know like sometimes you're like, I don't want the market to move. So I got to get my whole bet in, now. When there's time, you don't always have to do that. Especially again, you're not a betting Cindy. You're not working with these groups. You're not moving the markets. So you could be more reactionary. And like I said, don't go all in from the beginning. Fire half of your bet, 3/4 of your bet. When you get confirmation, you could fire some more. If it goes against you, that's okay. I only went half a unit. I'm not going a 4 unit. And it was still my opinion. And you got to remember, these guys, these sharp sides don't win all the time. They're 100% right 55% of the time at minus 110. That's what I say. The best they do is 55%. So don't be afraid if you see some sharp money opposite you. They're not going to go, they're not undefeated. So, but when you get confirmation, fire a little bit more. Just sprinkle away. Don't be scared.
Gianni, I know you've got stuff posted here on WagerTalk and you've got the Steam Room. Is that going on today? And what else?
No, I had it yesterday because of how busy it is today. I got an NFL package up there with 7 bets already. Maybe hire one more, but I'm going to try to keep it right around there. I got the UFC package, just added another play in there with a 5%. I've been selected with those 5%, haven't fired one in like 3 weeks. Got one in this pay-per-view tonight. And of course, the season package is up, NFL college football. Then I have my futures pass as well. So much volume in that futures pass. Don't let it scare you. But the ROI on those are so good. I was actually comfortable. As I said, I'll tie up 25% of my bankroll before the season starts because I think the ROI is so great that come December, January, my future self's going to thank my past self for placing those bets. So I always do it, and I'm not afraid to. But again, you could pick and choose the ones that you like out of it because we got a lot of volume in it.
Gianni the Greek, Vegas runner, whatever you love to call him. We love having him every Saturday here on Last Call. Thanks so much for hopping on.
Thanks for having me. Blockhead, good luck today, brother. All you guys, do some damage.
Good luck today, Gianni. Coming up now, we've got two of the best teams in the WNBA going head-to-head as the sole game in the W today. It's starting a little after 2 p.m. Eastern time. So let's bring on WagerTalk's best at capping the WNBA. We've got Mr. Ronald Cabang joining the show. What's going on, RC?
Everything is good on my end. Had another winning day yesterday.
It was a pretty big slate yesterday.
Yesterday was a big slate. Went 3-1. Now back over 76 units in the WNBA. So things are going well. Hoping to close it out pretty strong here. And then, obviously build that bankroll for the NFL season.
Absolutely. And the W continues to be profitable here at WagerTalk. So, Cabang, what do we got today? We've got the Lynx and the Liberty, the two best teams in the W going head to head. I'm seeing currently that the line moved a point against the Lynx. I saw them yesterday at -2.5, and now they're at -1.5. What do you make of it?
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting because from a schedule perspective, the Lynx, the last time the Lynx played, they played the Liberty. In the meantime, the Liberty have played a back-to-back. So as far as like rest goes and schedule-wise, the Lynx seem like the right side. This is the Liberty's third road game, 8th road game in the last 10. They've only covered one game over the previous 10 games as well. A lot of it has to do with obviously having to adjust with Miseman in and Brianna Stewart out. For the most part, they've had to change their pace, and their offense runs a lot differently with Miseman there instead of Brianna Stewart. So I think that's just more of an adjustment period. It's going to be interesting to see how things happen when Stewie comes back. On the Lynx side, they are well rested. They haven't played since the 10th. Like I said, the Liberty has played a back-to-back in the West Coast in the same time frame that the Lynx had 6 days of rest. So, and from a winning perspective, from a record perspective, they're 9-1 over the last 10, 7-2-1 ATS in that span. So, ATS wise, they're on the opposite ends. Liberty is still without Stewart, Harrison, Sabali. Lynx will be without Nafisa Coyer. She's doubtful, but obviously, I don't think she's going to play. So for the Lynx, they've won the last two matchups. I mentioned the bad situational spot, but also from a trend perspective, as road underdogs like the Liberty are today, they're 0-5 straight up. And at the number, you're really asking to see, who's going to win this game. And the Lynx on the other side as home favorite, 16-1 straight up. So trend perspective, looking to the Lynx, situationally, Lynx. If we're looking at stats, the Lynx, the last 5 games in recent form, better offensively and defensively. They're averaging 93 per game. The Liberty are adjusting to their new pace. Their defense has taken a hit, 9th in defensive rating over the last 5. The only edge that I see that the Liberty have is really from the 3-point, from the above the break 3. That's where the Lynx have struggled to defend recently. But like I said, at this number, we're really asking who's going to win this game, and a lot of things are really pointing towards the Lynx here.
I saw the total, Cabang, sitting at 166.5. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, from a trend perspective, a lot of things are pointing towards the over. The Lynx are a really strong over team for the most part, just because of their offense. But to me, I know they're missing both of their top key players. The Liberty are playing a slower pace. I still think that this is going to be more of a playoff atmosphere type game, and when that happens, we're typically looking at a slower pace, more defensive-minded game flow. So I would actually look towards the under in this one. I didn't play it, but whenever there's conflict between a play, trends looking towards the over, situation to the under, it's obviously a no-go for me.
Cabang, there's only one game on the slate tonight, but I know you have a lot of other stuff going on here at WagerTalk. What are you promoting today?
Yeah, I do have a Premier League game. It's match week 1. I do have one there. I mean, from a trend perspective, just looking since 2012, road teams in match week 1 are hitting at I think 62% rate. But there's one team specifically that's 8-1 during this time frame. So that's the play that I have today. I have 2 5% plays. If you've been following my 5% plays, they've been really good over the last 2 years, 43 and 14. That's over 75% since November 2023. There's a 5% in the NFL and in college football. So those are available right now. And WagerTalk has a deal going on right now for the rest of 2025. So you're able to get WNBA, NBA, NFL, college football, college basketball, all that for the rest of the year at a discounted rate. That's over at my capper page, wt.buzz/RC.
We love to hear it. Thanks so much, Ronald Cabang, for coming on today and giving us some WNBA. Hopefully some winners with this huge matchup between the Liberty and the Lynx, the two best teams in the W. That game starting a little after 2 p.m. Eastern time. So I have made it the entire summer where I have been doing Last Call for Kelly in Vegas. This is the first time all summer that I get to bring this legend onto the screen. And of course I know him and I've spoken to him and I've been on bet on it, but I haven't gotten to bring him on Last Call, so I get him to myself. So let's bring on the great Ralph Michaels, talking all things NFL preseason. So get your questions down in the chat because we're going to answer all questions about the 11 NFL preseason games going on today. Ralph, I hope you're not muted because the logo, there you are. I love the background. I feel like I'm at the beach. I wish I was at the beach. I wish I was with Kelly in Vegas, in Ireland right now, enjoying some K-State Week 0 in a couple of weeks. But I am here with you, and that's the second best option I've got. No offense. Ralph, NFL preseason, how's it been for you?
Indifferent. I had a couple bad beats yesterday. Now 3-3 this preseason. Still number 1 over the last 11 years at WagerTalk in preseason. And by the way, Ariel, the picture is very appropriate. I am down in Daytona Beach for the winter, so enjoying the view out the ocean. You brought up the overs to start this preseason, Ariel. 14-3. Let me put that in perspective. Last year in the preseason, there were 45 games. There were 15 overs and 30 unders. So it was 67% to the under. This far in 17 games, we've had 14 overs. So it is an anomaly. I do want to mention this as well. This would really be if Kelly was sitting here, because it would be like, why take the points in preseason? Over the last 3 years, the outright winner is now 102-7, 94%, including 17-0 this year. So if you're thinking about taking the dog, I'll steal one of VR's lines, perhaps split that and sprinkle some on the money line.
We've got a question in the chat already for you, Ralph. Titan CT said, any thoughts on Vikings Pats?
Yeah, preseason is such an interesting situation because you really can't make your decisions earlier in the week. You've got to read the quotes the morning of. You got to know who they're playing. And this is a game where I lean New England, but I'm really not sure how much Vrabel wants this. Now, again, new coach in New England, but we could go back to Vrabel in Tennessee. He went 7-3 straight up his last 10 preseason games, showing the ability to want to win. On Minnesota, McCarthy started last week. He had a good practice this week. He's not playing. The starters aren't playing. And Dobbs is going to get a lot of action today. And Dobbs has had a miserable preseason. The only way I can lean with this is New England, but it did not get to the window because I needed Vrabel to say something positive or show me the rotation. And when they are vague or don't tell you anything, it's basically a no play for me, but clear lean for me with the Patriots.
Okay, hold on. I'm looking at the chat, but I did have a question because we had some news today from the Cleveland Browns that we're going to see Dylan Gabriel under center for the Browns. And I'm seeing the Browns line at +3.5 against the Eagles. Now I just saw it go down live to 3. That game starting 1 p.m. Eastern. Thoughts on the Browns quarterback situation, Dylan Gabriel now starting?
Well, on a radio show last week, they were asking me about Sanders playing the majority of the game. Is that a positive or a negative? And I said this for last week's game when the Browns won 30-10. I said, even if it's your second or third string quarterback, you remember Flacco's not getting many reps. Pickett was hurt. Gabriel was hurt last week. So you had Sanders taking almost all of the snaps in the team versus team scrimmages and in the game. That's a positive no matter what quarterback you are. Well, now Sanders got hurt. Pickett is still banged up. Flacco not going to see any action. And they had assigned Tyrod Taylor. So you're going to see another quarterback in Dylan Gabriel get a ton of snaps. I don't care if you're a rookie or not. If you're going to play 3 quarters against a defense, you usually can have success. But, when I look at this situation, Cleveland, by the way, under Stefanski, 6-0 ATS as an away dog. Sirianni did win last week against Cincinnati. Prior to that, though, he was 0-8 ATS at home after that 34-27 win. So while the Browns are playing a nobody, Pittsburgh is a team that has, Philadelphia team that has success, doesn't care to win. So not to the window again, but I do have a clear lean on the Browns in this situation.
Tyrone Boyd, this question was for me, but I'm going to then relay it to you because I really don't bet preseason football. Last week, I'm going to tell you, though, the Ravens catching 6.5 last week was an absolute embarrassment for the book because they do always seem to care about the preseason. I know last year was the first losing preseason that Ravens head coach John Harbaugh had. Last week, though, with the Ravens at home, I just thought it was way too much of an overreaction for the Ravens aren't starting their starters. Like, they're still a pretty deep team, but the Ravens in action again today for the preseason. Any thoughts here on Ravens at Cowboys, Ravens laying 1.5? Now, I feel like this is an overreaction with the Ravens winning last week.
Let's remember that Harbaugh was, I think, 19-2 straight up over 7 preseasons, but he went 0-6 against the spread the last 2 years. There were so many people that lost so much money in 2023 just betting Harbaugh every game. But you have to realize that quarterbacks and philosophies change. We've had many great preseason coaches that after their teams have success, they don't need to show anything. Houston's a team that comes to mind that I think is very similar to Baltimore a few years ago. Houston now has success. Ryans was a preseason coach that needed to show his team how to win and give them confidence. Well, now that they've been there and done that, he's not playing anyone and doesn't care. So for me, it's difficult to get to Baltimore, but Dallas is one of the number 1 play against teams. I don't care who the coach is. You have Milton playing a majority of the game for the Cowboys today. So I lean Baltimore, and I like the under in that one.
So I got invited to this game for Giants-Jets. Richard Lockhart. Sorry, Dan, you put up the other question first, but I saw Giants or Jets. He has Jets money line. I was invited to this game today, and I said I literally could care less to go to MetLife to watch the Giants and the Jets preseason game. So I'm going to stay home. However, I might still watch it. What do you got here, Ralph?
Well, I really don't have much on this game, Ariel. And, guys, there's times, even if you come on a video, it's time to say you really don't have an opinion on each way. Now, I will say this. The Jets dominated those scrimmages. It was pretty embarrassing for what the Giants did when they went mano a mano in their joint practices this week. But there are times if a coach wants to win and he was embarrassed in practice, he can get his team to focus and play well. Now, I don't know the Giants situation well enough to know, if that's going to be the case. But I look at the Giants, and you look at last week's game. They didn't play well against the Chargers. The Chargers are a team that traditionally don't care that much. Harbaugh changing it a little bit. But again, you have a third-year head coach in Dabble, and he is 1-5 ATS going into this game. So that Dabble is now 1-6 ATS. The Jets need to show some positivity. They're getting a full field goal. And now up to 3.5, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen. So to me, Jets and the under again in this one. And again, guys, I listened to VR segment, and so many of these totals are inflated that if you like value, you're getting a point or two value on almost every game this week if you bet the under.
SF Niner, San Francisco Niner, technically. He said, any thoughts on the Steelers game? They are home tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, getting 2.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wait a minute. If it's FS 49ers, why am I looking at the Pittsburgh game? I started going to my
guy.
I started going to my San Francisco notes. And again, guys, I apologize, but a lot of this reading I just did right before the show, so I need to check my notes and I'm giving you accurate information. In the Pittsburgh game, Tampa Bay a 3-point favorite. There are so many people blowing smoke up Pittsburgh's butt. I mean, people are now saying this could be the best defense in the history of the NFL. Well, that's a lot to say in the preseason, but it does add pressure to the coaches and the players, although many of them won't be playing here. Rudolph is going to get the start this week. He is going to play a significant amount of time as they try to figure out who comes out of that quarterback trio. But for Tampa Bay, I do like Tampa Bay in this game. Bowles said his starters are going to play. Teddy Bridgewater back with the team will play a lot this week. Mayfield had the hand injury. They need to make sure he's ready. You have Thrash, who's a game-time decision. So a lot of Teddy Bridgewater against a Pittsburgh team that really doesn't care to win to me. Under and Tampa Bay for this matchup.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1 o'clock Eastern time games coming up, Ralph. Miami, Detroit, Carolina, Houston, Packers, Colts, Patriots, Vikings, and Browns, Eagles. Out of those 5 games, which one do you like the best? I know that Andre Sellers asked about the Panthers.
Well, I do have a client play on Carolina, Houston, so now it is yours for free. This is my only client play among the 1 o'clock games. We're getting a total of 39.5. Now, Carolina is going to play both their offensive and defensive starters for three series. That does give them against Houston. Houston didn't play their starters last week. Likely not going to play their starters this week. You look at D'Amico Ryans as a head coach, 1-7 over/under in preseason. He really doesn't care what his offense is doing now that they have success. To me, lean Carolina, but the under is an actual client release.
Ooh, we love to see that. I don't do Nerfies, unfortunately. Ralph, do you do Nerfies? I don't do Nerfies in your fees.
Ariel, that's why I haven't been on the show that much. This year, all I've done are Nerfies in baseball. I do a daily Nerfie report on my page for free, wt.buzz/RM. Monday through Friday, I do a daily WagerTalk YouTube and TikTok videos on the best streaks, the starters, what their no-run first inning records are, making you a better. I break down a segment and I give a free play every week, 5-1 on those free plays last week. So yeah, do make sure you check out the videos Monday through Friday and head to my homepage and download the free WagerTalk first inning report. That is up by 9 a.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
Anything else you want to promote today, Ralph, before we let you go here on this Saturday?
How about we leave it at this? I am getting so excited for the NFL and college football. Last year in college football, I finished number 2. I finished number 4 in the NFL after a bad start. But I want to leave you a little TNA, Ariel. And we know TNA means exactly what you think it does. Trends and angles. So how about this? This is regular season, game 1. If you have a division opponent that has double revenge in game 1 in the NFL, you're 47-27, 64% against the spread. If that division team has double revenge and is on the road, they are 26-11, 70%. If that team has double revenge and they're a road dog of 4.5 and higher, Ariel, how about 21-5 against the spread, 81%? Oh yeah, by the way, the Giants and the Colts are the teams that fit in that 21-5 ATS situation for game 1 of the regular season.
Ooh, we absolutely love to see it. And I know we'll have more of those trends coming up on Bet On It with Ralph Michaels as he's going to join the crew. As always, talking to my girl, Kelly in Vegas. Dan and Sean Michael, he is so loyal. He is on every single show. Ralph, thanks again. Good luck with that big slate of NFL preseason tonight.
Thanks, Sarah.
We've got 5 minutes. And no, Dan doesn't have Premier Lacrosse today because Premier Lacrosse playoffs will start next week. So we will get that in action after, PLL was like just dealt with Kelly and Ariel all last weekend in Boston. We definitely do not need to deal with them again for a week. We need a week off. And PLL will be here in New Jersey for their championship weekend, the week of my birthday. So I'm very excited about that as well. Before I let you guys go, I do have one pitcher prop that stood out to me today. It is at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Justin Verlander under 16.5 outs, -120. He's gone under in 5 of his last 6 games at home. And Tampa Bay is only averaging 15 outs per game against starters. This line also moved 10 cents against the Giants since last night. So with Verlander at home, line moving against him, Tampa Bay averaging less than this number, and including Verlander not getting to 17 outs in 5 of his last 6 at home. I don't mind that under on outs. And I would also look to fade Arizona in some capacity today as the line moved 10 cents in favor of the terrible Rockies. That's also a contrarian play since the public is 90% of action on Arizona. But that was a 10-cent move against them. And Ryan Nelson, he allowed 6 runs in 4 innings in his last start against Coors, which was his only start in altitude at Coors. Nelson's also gone under his 17.5 outs in 11 of 12 road games. So with the fact that Nelson struggles on the road to begin with, plus he's going to Coors Field in altitude, stay away from Arizona today. You could maybe bet the under on Nelson or fade him in some other capacity, but I would definitely be staying away from the D-backs in Major League Baseball. I think that's all we've got for today's show. I think this is my last call Saturday, but I think there is a plan for me to do Sundays in the NFL season. So we will see you there. Good luck to all your bets today. We've got a lot. We gave out UFC with Gianni. We gave out Major League Baseball with him. We've got MLB. We have NFL Preseason with Ralph. The Seoul WNBA game we definitely had with Ronald Cabang. If you missed any of it, check out the WagerTalk YouTube page. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe. We are very excited because the NFL season is almost here, and college football is almost here, which is why Kelly is out in Ireland. She's going to week 0, of course, for K-State. Good luck, everybody. We will see you again soon. I think we're going to have Steve Merrill on next week, filling in on last call. Again, see you in the football season.